Alright, so I did my IEP project on bioethics, specifically the argument of the ethics of bioengineering relating to humans. So in the past, we've obviously known about the atrocities of the Nazi human experimentation during the Holocaust, whether it be hypothermia, so they would take the prisoners of their concentration camps and they would make them completely naked and make them go into extremely cold environments just to see if the human body would react to these stages, and how they could better protect that. And I was reading an article that they even tested this in the ocean to make sure if one of their pilots was shot down that they could successfully resuscitate them before they froze to death. And then they also tried forms of rapid sterilization. So it's kind of a gross mindset to think of, but they would try and sterilize people using high doses of radiation, where in theory, one high dose of radiation would sterilize them and that would be the end of the procedure. But it just turned out all of these patients, none of them were successful, and it turned out they all got radiation poisoning. Also, vivisection. This is the dissection of a live subject. In the Nazis' case, this was of humans. They would cut them open without any anesthesia or pain medication to see how the human body would react to physical stress, whether it be muscles or the nerves. They would even cut open and cut out someone's sternum to see how the heart would actually beat in a live human being. So once this was all brought to light after the Second World War, the 1947 Nuremberg Code went into effect. So initially it was an international treaty that banned these kinds of experiments, but it really only targeted Nazis and the German people. So, and then this is an American example, the Tuskegee syphilis study that started in 1932. And then just kind of going back to the Nuremberg Code, even after 1947, they didn't really take it seriously as the American people. They said, this is for the betterment of health and medicine, so it's therefore just. And the syphilis study was conducted by the Public Health Service over this 40-year span, in which 399 Black individuals were injected with syphilis and only given minor treatments, whether it be just basic antibiotics or painkillers. They weren't given any of the treatments that they could have been offered by the Public Health Service. And this is all to see the stages of syphilis and how far someone could go before they could get treatment. At the end of the study in 1972, they conducted their final survey, and roughly 100 people had died in the first 20 years, and then I think it was 75 or 80 more individuals were had syphilis for the rest of their lives and couldn't even live normal lives anymore. So up until the 1960s, this idea of the status quo of human experimentation just benefits society. It never changed up until the 1960s when not only the Public Health Service but the government passed several laws and mission statements saying that they were going to stop this human testing unless it was essential to the betterment of human society. And this picture is actually a picture of Bill Clinton, and that's a Tuskegee syphilis study survivor, and he formally apologized to all of those that were affected in the experiment. Okay, so fast forwarding to today, our new discussion or debate is over the physician-assisted suicides, whether it's just for a doctor to almost give them a lethal injection so that they could die in peace and without any pain, whereas the other side believes it corrupts medicine and the patient-doctor relationship will be jeopardized because these patients will only think of that these doctors kill people instead of providing necessary treatments to save people. So a quote from Dr. Alan Sachs: "Why do we allow pets to die in this humane way and not humans?" I found this kind of interesting because obviously if our dog, or really all domesticated pets, if they come down with a serious illness or really issue, we will euthanize them, which obviously causes no pain to the animal, and it's the most just and humane way that we've determined to save these pets. Well, not save them, but give them a peaceful death. Going back to the other side, they believe that it almost desecrates the human body to euthanize someone, as in the practice of euthanasia will violate these rights, and those in poor health will be taken advantage of by doctors and be almost forced into being given this treatment that will ultimately end in their death. Okay. And relating to the future, the CRISPR-Cas9 technology, CRISPR stands for clustered regular interspaced short palindromic repeats. That's kind of a long word, but essentially the system's interesting. So the Cas9 is a protein, and they inject it into species, usually humans. They will inject it, and it'll pass through the cell membrane and get caught up with any virus DNA that's in that cell. And this Cas9 will bind to it so that an RNA that obviously pairs with a DNA strand will not even be aware of this Cas9 protein. And thus, by this, we can use this Cas9 protein to wrap, they call it an RNA complex when RNA and Cas9 combine over a DNA strand. It can essentially go over a desired strand to the exact gene or genome that we want. So we can change eye color or even IQ, height, physical appearance, everything. So this RNA complex will wrap around the DNA strand and form a precise cut to where we can program these cells to repair the DNA strand with the desired traits or characteristics. So the question that is on the table now is this even ethical? So if a mother in the future decides, I want my baby to have like blue hair, not blue hair, but blonde hair, blue eyes, really any trait that a human has, is it even ethical for a mom or a potential parent to be able to determine what exact genes that they want in their child? So the possible solutions to this, really a community discussion would be the most ideal, determining whether a physician can help with these assisted suicides. And going back to the last slide, there's only 5 states right now that have entered these discussions and legalized the practice of PAS or physician-assisted suicides. So really a widespread community discussion to evaluate these new upcoming technologies and medical practices to determine if it is just or if it's necessary for human sustenance, not sustenance, but survival and sustainability, or if it will ultimately corrupt the human species as one. And then also through these community discussions, the formation of applicable criteria that can be applied to each technology to not only assess the viability of this technology, but the safety and very restrictive bounds so that we can further control these upcoming technologies that will ultimately affect our human race. Thank you.